Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about Emily's side of the story in all of this stuff that's been going on. I have waited not very long, but a day or so before filming this video because I needed to have a think. I don't really know how to describe it other than I was just feeling very Amberlynn Reided out, like it was too much Amber for my brain. And I watched everything. I've seen basically everything there is to see. I have watched some other people's reactions as well because I was just kind of, I didn't know what to think. So I've taken in some different people's opinions and I've watched this stuff myself. And despite all of the kind of Amberlynn Reid fatigue that I'm feeling at the moment, because I'm just sick of the sound of her voice, frankly, I've decided that we will watch Mr. Snowflake's video, partially because it includes Mr. Snowflake's lovely accent rather than Amberlynn Reid's voice, which I can't stand. Couple thoughts before we watch it. It wasn't it was an interview between Flake and Emily, but it wasn't an interview with Emily's face and Emily's voice. And I think that one of the things that's going to be important in this whole situation, among many, 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 many other things, which we will get to, is how credible Emily is. And one of the ways that I personally will assess whether I believe somebody or not includes their body language, their tone of voice, how they act. And part of the reason that I believed Beck and Casey and Destiny so much is because I could see them talking. When it comes to Emily, we can't see her talking. So we'll see what we can see from these text messages. I'm going to start screen recording and let's watch Mr. Snowflake's video together. And I'm just going to tell you my thoughts. I am going to make videos going forward that are more analytical, that dive into different points. But first of all, we're just going to get the reaction to all the stuff that's happened, and then we'll start deep diving and kind of analysing and pointing out stuff because there is a lot to point out here. But this is basically Emily's opportunity to tell us her side of the story. We'll look at what she does include, what she doesn't include, and what we see here basically. And all I can do is watch it and tell you what I think. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, let's watch this video together and get into breaking it down a little bit.
I don't even know where to begin or start.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
This is me talking with Emily. Right, here we go. Hi Emily, hope all is well. What made you want to come out now and discuss your time with Amber? Honestly, I was content staying silent for a long time, but I'm tired of watching her dodge any real accountability. She creates her own reality and then expects everyone to play along. The sad part is most people do because they're either scared of her or don't want to deal with the drama. But I hit a point where I just couldn't sit back and watch her keep rewriting the truth.
So I'm pausing here because this part is really interesting to me. This is Emily telling us why she wants to share her story according to her, in her words. And I think that it's credible and believable that this could be why she wants to share her story. But ever since Emily spoke to Mr. Snowflake, I know that she spoke to Mr. Snowflake before he made this community post, obviously. We know that Amber and Emily, according to Amber anyway, were still together, or were together when this conversation was happening with Mr. Snowflake. So that would seem, if Amber is to be believed, which of course she rarely is to be believed, as she's demonstrated this weekend, that Emily was Amber's girlfriend while she was talking to Mr. Snowflake. And if that's true, then it does make you think, why is Emily doing this? And it doesn't read like what a victim, I don't know, not all victims act the same way, but it's not her saying, well, I've experienced awful at her hands and I don't want anyone else to experience that. It's her saying she can't get away with this, she can't keep doing this. And I wonder if this message here reads as revenge. Does it? I don't know. And it's frustrating for everybody who's viewing the situation because it is just this person's word against that person's word. We've seen some evidence, which we'll get into, but it's not exactly that clear cut. And I thought that it might be more clear-cut than it is. And I think that's partially why I've waited so long well, it's not that long, but I waited. I didn't jump straight on filming this because I wanted to just let it marinate a little bit and think it out and be like, is there one victim here? I think they were both really bad, but I'm not sure to what extent and who's lying. We're going to try and unpick that. But this message is her being like, okay, this is the reason that I've done this. And it doesn't say anything about stopping other people from experiencing her in the future. But then should it say that? I don't know. I think any victim wanting some kind of comeuppance for their abuse is fair enough. So, maybe it makes sense that Emily said this.
So I say, well, I'm glad you have decided to speak up, so I guess we start at the beginning. I'm guessing everything was fine at the start of the relationship, or were there any little red flags? She says, at first everything was great. I really thought I had found someone who was kind, laid back, and just fun to be around. She was able to carry on a conversation, and it's hard to find these days. Looking back now,
I don't think it's that hard to find people who can have a conversation. I've never struggled to find people who can have good conversation personally, but I don't know.
I obviously was looking at everything through rose-coloured glasses. She really made it seem like she was this grounded, supportive person. I told her upfront that I was grieving.
I think that Amber probably can sometimes be very supportive. Even awful people are good sometimes. So I believe this, actually. I believe that it's possible Amber was able to portray herself as a great girlfriend near the beginning and, not crazy and not super insecure and stuff, because everyone can control their urges for a period of time. And I also think Emily was probably doing the same thing in a way. She wanted a very large person and she probably was just, oh my God, I can't believe I've got this person. She probably wanted to jump straight into her weirdness, Emily probably acted lovely at the start because it's very easy when you've just met someone to put your best foot forward. And it is as time goes on that things go left. So this is probably true for both of them.
Colleen, and still will be. She said she understood, respected that. She said it wouldn't be an issue at all. That was super important to me, for her to be accepting of it, and for a little while it felt good. We actually had
I think it was irresponsible of Emily to start dating somebody so quickly after losing her partner, and she said that herself in an Instagram post that she made at some point. She said that she rushed into the next relationship to try and fill a gap. So it is questionable to me why Emily did this, and it is an odd thing to do. So it does show some measure of strange behaviour on Emily's part straight out of the gate.
Together, we laughed, joked around, and it was chill. I genuinely enjoyed spending time with her before she started showing me who she really is. I guess it was a typical scenario of love bombing. After everything I had been through, it was just nice to feel wanted and not so alone anymore. And I say, was it still nice when she came to stay with you? How long was she meant to stay for? Emily says, there were a few little red flags early on, like how Amber would get upset if I didn't FaceTime her for hours every single day.
Well, we've seen evidence of Amber being like that. We've seen evidence for that. So this portion, I believe, we know that Amber is extremely clingy to her partners. We've seen her do it with Beck and Destiny. I imagine she probably did it with all of them. And also, we've seen Amber say and express, me and Emily are always on FaceTime. So I believe that as well.
Or if I was busy at work and didn't have time to message her.
Yes, I was very codependent with Destiny, and I can admit that. I can absolutely admit that. I will admit that 100%. I wanted either like a text or like a call just to be like, I love you. My day's been good. That's all. That's all.
I think it's very easy to make that sound like it's just a simple that's all. And most people do that. I text my girlfriend most mornings, we live together, but if she's at work, I'll text her, or it's quite normal to text your partner and say you love them. What's not normal is if for any very understandable reason that doesn't happen, you don't flip out. And freaking out when somebody doesn't do that means that not only is it unhealthy for the dynamic of your relationship, but then when the person does do it, you don't know if they're doing it because they really want to or because they know you'll get angry if they don't. So then you're in like a fake situation. And I think a lot of what Amber does, and we'll see it because we will analyse Amber's response to all of this, she is just so confident that her emotions are the most important thing and that her behaviour is a direct response off of her emotions or her feelings, and that there is no barrier there between the feeling action gap. Amber thinks, I feel X, therefore I can behave however I like. And I do believe that that is true.
Because I was home alone 24/7. I'm not perfect. Beck wasn't perfect. I was super controlling of their time, of their energy. I always wanted them near me.
So she admits, I mean, we know she's like this, but she's admitted it. Comments from Emily that relate to this portion of Amberlynn's nature, absolutely credible, because we've seen her do it multiple times in the past. So this I buy.
Like, always.
She'd take it personally and get upset. During my first visit to Oklahoma, things actually seemed to go really well, but it was a short trip and we were still in that honeymoon phase. It was during my second visit that things started to feel off. She would get irritated if I checked my phone or responded to messages that weren't about her or focused on her. That visit...
So we know that in this first visit, I think it's the first visit, we will analyse all of this in future videos, but Amber told us in her recent live stream that she discovered Emily was a feeder on this first trip, but she still went on to claim that Emily wasn't a feeder, and she even went as far as to be angry with Zachary Michael and claim that Zachary Michael was injuring her personal mental health, when in fact she knew that Emily was a feeder and she was lying to our faces. So to date somebody who has this kind of interest and then be surprised when they're on their phone exercising this interest, it sounds like she was doing it then and she's probably done it and, has been doing it since. You can't play with fire and then be surprised when you get burned. This whole situation has made Amber look so bad, and we cannot believe a single word she says. I don't know if we can believe a word Emily says either, but at least we've learned a lot about Amber from this situation, put it that way.
It also happened right after she posted who I was, and the doxing stuff that followed, so tensions were high, so I kind of brushed it off at the time, thinking it was just stress. But everything really started to change when Amber came to visit me. She was originally only supposed to stay for a week or two, tops. It wasn't going to be some extended thing. We were planning on probably around 2 weeks. I think she stayed like 3 months, wasn't it? 3 or 4 months? 2 weeks, because that's when I'd be off work and able to take her home. But by day two, I've only seen these, was it last night? I haven't slept for ages, didn't I? I've only seen these once as I was talking to Emily. So I've probably forgotten most of it. Because that's when I'd be off work and able to take her home.
So it sounds like Emily took some kind of annual leave when Amber was there. So perhaps the first part of the trip was better and easier as well because Emily was around every day. I don't know if that's the case though, because Emily's saying here that it was from day 2 that she got weird. I also believe that Amber probably intended to stay permanently. She took loads of her belongings, she took her pets. I think Amber subconsciously thought, or maybe consciously, once I get there, Emily will become under my spell, under my control, and I will be able to stay and stay. And I think because Emily probably didn't want to fit into that role of the fucking, deferent, is that a word? Deferent? Servant. It all probably kicked off because Amber wasn't having her ridiculous needs met, in my opinion.
By day 2 of her being at my house, things already started to shift. It was weird how high-strung she was that early on. Day 2. I don't know what shifted, or it was the change in environment, but she just acted off.
It is strange to me, and we will see as this goes on, but Emily doesn't admit to very much wrongdoing here. She is not giving us anything to work with from her point of view. I would have expected her to admit or to go, I did this, but actually Amber's response was still irrational. There's not, so far anyway, any kind of admittance from Emily of any kind of wrongdoing. That could be because she didn't do anything, or it could be because she is trying to portray a certain narrative, and I don't know what's the truth.
She really didn't like that I had a life outside of her. I mean, I work 12-hour shifts. I have a family, friends, pets, a house to take care of. I have responsibilities, but anything that wasn't about her felt like an inconvenience to her, and she made that very clear. Well, by day 2, Jesus. I'd get home from a 12-hour shift, completely exhausted from a stressful job, and she'd get upset if I wanted to go straight to bed.
I believe that. I absolutely believe that.
She'd say things like, "Oh, you're not going to hang out with me," or ask me to take her to the casino or go shopping. And if I said no, she'd get upset and compare it to her working on vlogs all day. Oh yeah.
Someone actually gave me the idea, 3-minute vlogmases. And if you go over 3 minutes, then awesome, that's amazing. At least you're uploading every single day, even if it's 3 minutes. And I'm like, You know what? That's kind of a good idea.
Yeah, she does not work hard on YouTube at all. Her videos, as I've said this in the past, her videos require very, very little work, hardly any prep, little, minimal editing, and she doesn't have to do any setup. She just grabs her phone. So her comparing that to the 12-hour shift of a nurse, I don't know what kind of nurse Emily is, but that's pretty crazy.
Saying she still had the energy to do things, so I should too. Amber expected me to be constantly available. If I didn't text or call during my breaks, I'm sure we've done this with Destiny, or if I wasn't giving her attention constantly, she'd get upset or start a fight. I told her in the beginning that I need to be able to have alone time because that is how I decompress from stress. We've had arguments about that before. She visited too, because she didn't like that. She would always accuse me of not loving her and say how terrible of a girlfriend I was. She wanted me to call out of work anytime she was having a crisis, or just felt like she wanted me to stay home.
Are you getting my text? I feel really sick and I am having an anxiety attack. I really need someone.
I mean, this is a clip of Amber doing this very thing to Destiny. I don't know if Destiny's at work here, but we've seen a documented history of Amber being extremely needy and requiring people to do things for her and expecting a certain level of attentiveness from the people around her. So Emily saying all of this, it falls in line with what we've seen, and that's why a lot of the time we believe Amber's exes, because what they say corroborates with what previous exes have said. So it makes sense. It's like, yeah, that sounds about right, because we've already seen her do many, many things which fit perfectly into this. Amber says, oh, my exes are believed without any evidence. Sometimes, for things like this, we don't need evidence because we've seen it. We know that Amber has this in her personality. She's admitted to it herself. So this part, again, very credible.
I think we all suspected that, talked about that. She was always in a bad mood because of this. If I did anything that didn't involve her directly, she would start an argument. I was exhausted trying to juggle everything in my life, on top of her constantly being mad at me. We'd get into arguments and she just wouldn't let anything go. She would gaslight.
That we got into arguments and she just wouldn't let anything go. Emily's not giving very many specific examples. A lot of what Emily's doing here is narration, like loose narration. This happened, this happened, this happened. We would get into arguments. She wouldn't let anything go. She's not specifying what any of the arguments are. Not that she has to, but she's not specifying what the arguments are, which is interesting. And she's saying she wouldn't let anything go. And it could be that there are things that Emily has done wrong that Amber isn't letting go. Could it be that Emily has done something bad and on top of that, Amber is also not letting it go? Or could it be that Emily's done absolutely nothing wrong and Amber won't let go of things that are no big deal? And this is why I've said in this situation, and this is making this reaction right now, being completely candid with you guys, I don't actually know what to say, because this is just one long stream of words from one person who I know for a fact is into some very, very weird, harmful stuff. And has a history with a previous ex of some sort of, domestic situation. So, which I'm talking about the diabetic in the basement. The person's name is Megan. We'll get more into that when we look at Amber's response, because Amber brings this person up. So it's very, very hard as an observer to know how to take this. I'm just being completely honest. I don't have a huge amount to say because this is just one person's story. According to them, the only things I can point out are stuff that we've seen proof of, which are portions of Amber's behaviour, but we don't know if Emily did anything to cause a fight, and Emily's not going to admit any of her own wrongdoing. But then we also know that Amber's reactions to things are completely unhinged. So it's very difficult to know who to believe. I mean, you could take this all at face value. It makes Amber look very bad, and I think Amber's made herself look very bad, but we can't judge from these messages whether Emily is also awful too, and that just makes this very difficult to react to, being honest.
Deflect, just typical narcissistic behaviour.
So like she would deflect, typical narcissistic behavior, but no specific examples from Emily of what that was. I'm not saying there wasn't any, but it would be more helpful for Emily to say, this is exactly what she did, this is exactly what happened, here's the situation. More detail would be great. And also Emily would have many messages and screenshots of various calls coming in and texts and such. If Emily really wants to be believed, she could share all of that stuff. However, I suspect, and I think it's probably the case, that Emily and Amber are now back together, which is why Emily's gone radio silent. And we haven't had any, well, I don't know about radio silent, but we haven't had anything further from her, because I think she's changed her mind about this.
To the point where I started going into the other room just to sleep, because she wouldn't stop arguing with me when I was trying to rest before a shift. She came into the room and stood over the bed. Ugh.
I'm just really surprised that she didn't just like keep you locked and cornered into an argument all night.
Cornered, specifically, there is a powerful word from Beck. Cornered suggests that she stands in the doorway and blocks your exit. That does sound like something Amber would do. And again, here is an ex saying the same thing. So again, it makes Emily's story very believable. And in the live stream that Amber does later after this video came out, she admits, she says it was only one time. She always only ever admits to bad things on one occasion, but she admits that she did do this. She did stop Emily from sleeping. So that's awful and horrible, and you shouldn't do that to people, and that's really, really bad. I can imagine it, I can see it happening, and I believe it, definitely.
And you got no sleep, because if that would have happened with me and her, that's what she would have done with me.
She told me that if I wasn't going to finish the conversation, which was basically her going on and on about how I didn't love her and all this other crap, then said, fine, if I can't have peace from being able to have this conversation, then you aren't going to either. She would then stand next to the bed I was sleeping in and intentionally keep me up all night. I felt like this happened every time she knew I was going to work.
That's so evil. And I haven't heard Emily say it in her own voice. It's very hard to judge, but Amber's admitted this happened. She said it happened one time. To be honest with you, one time is bad enough. Like, once is enough. Can you imagine, like, just picture that happening? Like, you're trying to sleep, you're a nurse, you've worked a long shift, you've got another long shift ahead of you, and Amberlynn Reid is sat next to your bed, shouting at you and trying to keep you awake. Fuck that.
Like she was intentionally keeping me up because she didn't like that I wasn't home instead of at work. Emily again? Yeah, this stuff was happening more and more frequently. And then I say, sounds like she didn't want you to work and just spend all day at home with her. I'm guessing she used BPD as an excuse for her shitty behaviour. How did I know that? She 100% used your BPD. Her BPD as an excuse. That's what frustrating me the most.
I think that this BPD as an excuse thing is one of the worst things that Amber has done. This whole situation, I take it in a few different ways. The whole he said, she said of the DV and all of that stuff, and them being together or not being together, and that person lying or this person lying, like, it's very hard to judge on all of that. But the beauty of this situation, in a sad way, is that Amber has exposed so many horrendous things about herself, and I am going to make videos about them. And one of them is the way that she has used BPD as an excuse for her behaviour has been shameless in this situation. Absolutely shameless. I've had people message me on Instagram who have BPD. People have DM'd me and said how heartbroken they are that Amber has done this, because to an audience of hundreds of thousands of people, she has said, yes, I had tantrums, yes, I followed you from room to room, yes, I shouted at you, I was evil, her words, but I did it because of BPD. And that is so harmful and wrong to people who have BPD, because it stigmatizes something that they actually suffer with. But on top of all of that, Amber doesn't even have a formal BPD diagnosis. She is lying about that diagnosis 100%. I'm so sure of that I don't even know how to word to you how sure I am of that. So for her, as a person who is not formally diagnosed with BPD, in my opinion, to use BPD as an excuse for this behaviour is so sickeningly wrong, I almost don't know what to do about it. It's like, you are so fucked in the head and so wrong for doing that. She also claims an ADHD diagnosis in this whole weekend of fun that she doesn't have either. So we will also be calling her out on that in due course.
Imagine having BPD, unregulated, unmedicated, and finding out
Undiagnosed.
just betrayal. Like, you go crazy.
I've said this already, but Amber never really specifies what all of these betrayals are. What was it? Look at her, Emily, looking at photos of other women. It's not that big of a deal. And if it is a big deal for you, it still doesn't justify any kind of abuse. Somebody can lie to you, and that's really unfortunate and crap, and it would make you feel really bad about yourself. But it's still not a good enough reason to stop them from sleeping. Nobody owes you a conversation. One of the most powerful things in a healthy relationship is being able to go, okay, you and I have fallen out. I don't agree with you. You don't agree with me. You go and have some time to yourself. I'll have some time to myself, and we'll touch base and talk about it later. That's one of the healthiest things you can do in a relationship. Following your partner around the house and demanding that they have a discussion with you is so fucking unhinged and unfair. And it's not fine because you have BPD and therefore you claim to have BPD and therefore it's fine. No, you're responsible for your behaviour regardless of whether or not you may or may not, I believe not, have BPD. So it's just not an excuse, and it is weird. And I believe wholeheartedly, regardless of what Emily may have done, I wholeheartedly believe that Amber basically showed up at her house, told her, listen, I'm staying, and then continued to try and force a dynamic which made Emily into her victim. That doesn't mean that Emily also wanted Amber to stay and get fatter and do various other very strange things with her, but I think that Amber crying here that she's the one who was abused, it's very difficult to believe when we know the kind of stuff that Amber does and has done in the past. So I am inclined to think that although Emily is by no means a perfect victim and may well have done all kinds of other things to trigger Amber, and you know, she may have lied to Amber, she might have done worse than that. She could have. I just don't know, because I can't prove something I don't know. So I'm not saying she didn't, but what I do know is that Amber definitely is awful and she's shown it again and again over the past weekend. This is us watching Emily's story, right? So it's very difficult to get a unbiased version of events, or you're never going to get that from one of the people who was involved. Emily's not going to say anything that makes her look bad, is she? So it's incredibly difficult to know how to assess this situation, and that's just the way it is. That's how I feel about it.
Like, you genuinely go crazy.
Anytime she'd have one of her tantrums, she wouldn't take any accountability and say it's because she has BPD. And she'd be like, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to tell you how I feel.
Yeah, Amber thinks that, I believe that she said that, and Amber thinks that how she feels is the be-all and end-all. She thinks that her feelings are a valid excuse for shit behaviour, and they're not. They're just not.
When she would literally scream at me about something, like taking 4 minutes longer than I said I would.
Did you really set a time?
That there, the taking 4 minutes longer than I said I would, is specific, right? And that's a specific example. Emily saying, I went out for a smoke, or she says that in a second, I went out for a smoke, I took 4 minutes longer than I said I would, and Amber was angry. That's a specific example. So I believe that that really happened, because it's like an actual clear example, right? It's not generalized, you're acting like a narcissist wording. It's, this is a specific thing that happened. So to me, that's more credible and more believable than she acted like a narcissist. Well, what does that mean? How did that happen? But this is like, this is exactly what happened, and I absolutely believe it. And like Mr. Snowflake has very cleverly done here, edited in proof that Amber's done this before. So therefore, it supports, even though this is just Emily saying whatever she wants to say, this supports the fact that Emily is probably, at least in this instance, telling the truth.
Timer. I did a couple times. Yes.
Taking 4 minutes longer than I said I would. when I went outside to smoke. Alright, I told her she can't use that as an excuse if she refuses to do anything to help herself to get better. She made a lot of false promises of getting into therapy. She told me in so many different occasions that she was signed up and she never went. I remember a video of her saying, oh yeah, I found a therapist here in Wisconsin.
So I have actually found
That little smile at the beginning of this clip where she talks, just this little smile. I just don't believe it. Also, note, quite importantly, look where Amber's sat, in the spot she always films at, sat here next to the sliding door. Amber sat here, she seems to always sit here. What does that tell you?
a psychiatrist / therapist who I'm going to be speaking to. I'm going to be calling. I have not called yet. I have discovered them. I have found them. I know about them and they know nothing about me yet.
And this is me. Yeah, I remember a video where she said she found a therapist in Wisconsin, and I thought, right, she's been awful to Emily, and this is her way of saying, hey, I'm going to get help. Because that's what she did with Beck a lot. I'll work on myself, I'll improve, and it didn't last very long.
Yeah, Amber uses therapy because she knows that therapy is the only thing that has any chance of helping her. She uses therapy as a tool, so she'll say to people, I'm going to be getting therapy, or I am getting therapy, so if you think I'm awful, don't worry, I'm in therapy, so I'm going to get better. It's kind of like she knows it's the only thing she can do. However, I think she probably is a narcissist, or at the least she's extremely abusive, so the chances of therapy being successful depend entirely on her ability to be honest, but she's fucking constantly lying, so I don't know what the likelihood is of therapy actually working on her when she's just such a liar through and through.
So I was going to see a BPD therapist when I was in Wisconsin, but they were located in Wisconsin. And I was wasn't thinking at the time, and I do not live in Wisconsin.
Despite your attempts to the contrary.
Live in Oklahoma. So now I have to re-find someone.
Just me again? So what would you do all day when you were at work? I'm going to take a guess and say nothing. Lay in bed all day watching reaction channels. How could I have gotten that right? Yep, that was one of her manipulative tactics, and staying longer when it was getting to the point where I was asking her to leave. She thought she would get a therapist here. I'd let her stay so she could do the therapy. She did a whole lot of nothing, to be honest. She'd sit around and watch YouTube videos, including reaction channels, all day.
Reaction channels.
Shocking.
Hey Amber. Nice to see you, girl.
Shocking. I did her laundry. Again, I think Casey did all the laundry.
Because me and my mom would do her laundry.
I remember back then I would do her laundry for us. I didn't really like people touching my laundry.
She's a fucking liar, man. The way she talks, when she does that little breathing thing, like, I don't really like you can tell that's a lie. At least I think you can anyway.
I still really don't, but I let Destiny do it because
I'm lazy.
I trust her.
Chris always does the laundry.
I cleaned up after her and took care of the pets. She won't ever let Twinkie or the dogs out during the day when she was home, so I'll come home from work, I have to clean up Twinkie's pee off my brand new floor that I put in. I was really proud.
Twinkie looks terrified. Look at this clip we're looking at right now. Twinkie looks fucking terrified.
Proud of that floor because I recently just put it in and I did it myself, which is a lot of hard physical work. Well,
Oh man, this whole dog thing, of all of this, one of the things that has struck me the most is the animal care, the lack thereof from Amber. Here, Emily saying that Amber didn't let the dogs out. It's a strange thing to lie about. It's extremely easy to go to a back door and open it and let the dogs go for a wee. So Emily claiming that Amber never did this is basically Emily saying that Amber would just sit in the same spot all day. Because it's very easy. If you're going to the kitchen to get a snack or something, or you go down you do it consciously. But even if you're not going to do it consciously, you end up downstairs at some point during the day, and the dog will sit by the door and let you know it needs to go out. So clearly, Twinkie isn't toilet trained, which we know. Clearly, she's fine with the dogs just pissing all over Emily's floor, or at least with her dog pissing all over Emily's floor. So maybe she just thinks, well, she's used to having pee pads, so she's not going to bother letting the dogs out for a wee. I don't know. Whenever it comes to anything that Amber does that affects animals, I'm inclined to believe the thing, you know, whatever is the worst version of it, because she's been proven time and time again to be a horrendous dog owner. So Emily's saying here she wouldn't ever let Twinkie or the dogs out during the day when she was home, so I'll come home from work and I'd have to clean up Twinkie's pee off my brand new floor. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it because Amber uses pee pads. She's admitted as much, so she's used to animals pissing on her floor. So she's not going to think, oh, let me take the dogs out. And the thing is, and in her apartment complex at home, she has to put Twinkie's lead on and take her out. Whereas at Emily's, all you've got to do is open the back door. So it's so fucking easy. But I believe she didn't do it. She's infinitely lazy. So I'm not surprised by this sentence at all.
Knows about that.
She's claiming property damages because her dog pees on her carpet, and then Twinkie also was peeing on her carpet. They both were peeing on the carpet, like while we were sleeping.
I believe that Twinkie pees on the carpet. I don't believe that Emily's dog does. We know Amber's pet care is awful anyway, so I'm just beating the same drum. Let's let her carry on.
Sleeping, they both. So what I did was I bought this really expensive, I bought 2 of them, this really cool like gate type thing.
This is Amber again, classic Amber. Instead of toilet training the dogs or her dog or bending down and wiping up the piss before Emily gets home, she spends money. She goes on Amazon and buys something. Amber's response for everything is, let me buy something, let me spend some money. That's how she plans to solve these problems, and it's just so Amberlynn coded. Rather than toilet train the dog or clean the piss, you just order something on Amazon, which I'm sure Emily fitted.
That she actually still has up to block the there was pee pads down as well, just for like
No, the pee pads down. Yeah, there were pee pads down. Do you know what? You use pee pads when you have a puppy or when you have a dog that's like 16 and can barely take itself to the toilet. I don't believe that Twinkie pees in the house because she's old. I think Twinkie pees in the house because Amber doesn't have access to a back garden and Amber does not take her out to the toilet, so she's used to peeing on the floor, and Amber just puts down loads of pee pads in the hope that Twinkie ends up pissing on one of them, but more than likely Twinkie doesn't, and sometimes pees on, I don't know, the random tiles. I think somebody needs to go to your house and take your animals away. Like, you do not deserve them. You cannot be trusted.
At night when we were both sleeping, and they both had a mind of their own, you know.
They both have a mind of their own, you know. No, you are a shit dog owner. You train your dog not to piss in your house by letting it go out. So it's not even, the thing that gets me so annoyed about this, it's not Twinkie's fault. If your dog is not toilet trained because you don't take it out, that is your fault. That is not your dog's fault. You don't go, the dog's got a mind of its own and it pisses on the floor in the middle of the night. No, you train the dog. She's such a sorry, but she's just, this makes me so angry. Like, the beginning of this reaction, like, I didn't fucking know what was going on because I don't even know how to take this. But the animal stuff, best believe, my opinion is very firm on that. Amber, you are a disrespectful dog owner.
Use pee pads. Actually recently started using pee pads for when I'm sleeping.
That's a lie. I actually recently started. No, you've been using them for a long time. Anything she says that she actually did, it's a lie.
I have an elderly dog.
9 is not fucking elderly. Is 9 elderly? I don't think 9 counts as elderly. Maybe I'm wrong. But also, Twinkie doesn't piss in the house because she's elderly. She pisses in the house because you are a scum human who doesn't know how to train their animals.
This happens. Dogs are dogs. Ugh.
Dogs are dogs. Like, what you... oh, man, I actually can't stand this fucking bitch. Whoops.
Like, genuinely.
Sorry, I pressed play by accident. But yeah, you tried to fix it, what, by ordering something? Nah, mate, that does not fly with me. Sorry.
And then I ended up buying a whole steam cleaner for her. Like, I tried to fucking fix it, bro.
Again, more things she bought. I bought this, I bought that. It's not good enough.
Oh, but it's crazy because she has this cat named Princess, which she keeps trying to throw out, by the way, on the streets, and I keep telling her not to. She really wants to fuck around. We can fuck around and find out. So I'm fucking done. Anyway.
That's a lie. Again, a lie. And that was one of the most... So this whole situation was really interesting because Mr. Snowflake made his post. Then Amber went live and showed so many things which were like unbelievable, and that was one of them. So instead of defending herself. She attacked Emily, classic Darvo. She denied everything. She said it was Emily who did it, all of that stuff, including about letting Rarity out. She's being accused of letting Rarity out. Instead of taking accountability for anything she did, she said that Emily let Rarity out, which was just unbelievable. As well as that, she says that Emily wanted to let her cat Princess out to get rid of her, and that is such a wild accusation. It's so obvious that that was Amber just absolutely clutching at straws. One thing we know, if you follow Emily on Instagram, regardless of what you think of her, and I think she's a scum feeder, which is absolutely gross. Some of the stuff she's into, my god, some of the things she's followed and posted, I've been looking into it and it's absolutely vile. Like, she is clearly an unhinged individual being into that stuff. But that doesn't mean that she would let her cat out on the street. And Amber is trying to make it seem like Emily would do that, which is why she's mentioned Emily letting her cat Princess out. She's just trying to deflect.
She has a cat that pees all over the fucking downstairs, on the carpet, on the chair, on the couch, on the clothes, on the this, on the that. So
fake.
Stop trying to fucking blame me and my dog for everything in your life, because I will literally come for you. Oh.
It literally ruined the flooring because the pee would sit there until I got home from work to clean it. If you remember one of her vlogs, she talked about her responsibilities of letting the pets out.
So on days that Tommy works, especially, like, I have the same, like, morning routine. I'll wake up, take the dogs out, refill cat food, dog food, water. It's just like every day, just my go-to.
That lasted about 2 days. This started a lot of fights too.
It's just back at home in Oklahoma, like, my routine is just a little bit different. So having to form another routine, you know, here in Wisconsin is a little hard.
What do I say? Disgusting. Only time I remember her talking about her responsibility with the pets was when she did the video explaining how Rarity got out.
So usually I take the dogs out and this curtain is usually open.
I'm sure she talked about that stuff before, but I just can't remember. Actually, before I ask you about Rarity, how bad did the tantrums get? What was the worst? If you're okay talking about it, if not, I'll shut my face. The tantrum.
I love that saying, I'll shut my face. Such a British saying. Yeah, Mr. Snowflake, shut your fucking face.
Slowly escalated each time. It started with just her shouting at me, to escalating to her slamming doors and punching walls. Anytime I tried to leave the room, she would block doorways. She was also really...
That, I believe, and also that suggests an element of physicality to the relationship, where when there's some sort of altercation, Amber follows Emily around, right? And you know what that makes me think of? The bit in Amber's live where she claims that Emily left out the back door, and her words, booked it so fast that she left the door open. Does that not suggest that Amber was probably blocking the front door, so she couldn't get out the front door? So Emily ran out the back door. But also, if Amber's following her from room to room, as Emily is running out of the house and leaving out of the back door, Amber would have been there to witness the door being left open, right? So Amber's following Emily around the house, and usually, we've seen, I know I shouldn't have, but I've been on the farms and I've seen the aerial photograph of Emily's house, and the street is in front of the house. So the vehicle is parked on the street in the front of the house. So as Emily's having this fight with Amber and she's like, I'm fucking leaving, you would leave out of the front door and go and get in your car. If you can't leave out the front door, that would suggest something is blocking the front door. So then you have to leave out the back door. Well, if Amber is already on that ground floor blocking the front door and Emily runs and leaves out of the back door, Amber would have probably pursued her to continue the fight. Because Amber never lets it go. She never goes, oh yeah, off you go, Emily, like, bye, see you later. That's what a healthy person would do. They would just say, all right, you want to go, just go. Sounds to me like she left out the back door because Amber is blocking the front door. So if Amber is blocking the front door and Emily's like, right, I'm leaving out the back door, Emily would have walked towards or ran or left quickly towards the back door. I think it's likely that Amber probably gave chase or pursued her in some way. And if Amber did pursue her, then wouldn't Amber have seen Emily leave the back door open? Do you get what I'm saying? So if that wasn't the case, and Amber wasn't on that floor, Amber was upstairs, then why would Emily feel the need to leave out of the back door? she would have just left out the front door, which is directly how she would get to her vehicle. So the fact that she left out the back door suggests that Amber is already on that floor. And if Amber's on that floor, then she's probably pursuing Emily or watching Emily or in some way near Emily. At the very least, she would feel the cold air. So that just shows that Amber's revised story, that Emily left the back door open and Amber didn't notice for an entire day, is once again not believable. Also, it actually corroborates the story that she doesn't let the fucking dogs out. So Amber claims that she didn't realise the door was open all day, which suggests that all day she stayed in some other room and hasn't gone downstairs to let the dogs out.
Anytime I talked about Colleen, I wasn't allowed to share memories or say anything about it really anymore, or she would end up getting really upset and pissed off at me for the rest of the day.
I know how much he loved Colleen and still does. Like, I fully get that. During arguments, she would literally tell me, "You're never gonna be Colleen." Like, just saying how much better Colleen was. Like, I had to literally compare myself, and I was in competition with Colleen every single day of my life.
I actually think that that might be true. I don't know if it's the way that she said it or what, but I actually kind of believe that. I can imagine that if you're faced with an individual like Amberlynn Reid in your house doing her Amber thing, you know, she's absolutely horrendous to be around, you might say all kinds of stuff. And we know that Emily has said all kinds of stuff. She called Amber Pocahontas. I think there's evidence of that. She has been talking shit about her all over the place, you know, in DMs regularly. So she does say things about Amber. So it's possible that during a fight, Emily did say this. And if she did, that is crap. That's awful. That's bad and horrible. And at the same time, it's still not a reason for you to be an abusive, violent motherfucker. Talking to Amber here. It's like, you know, on Reddit, there are those threads that are like, am I the arsehole? This is one of those everybody sucks here situations, I think. It's very hard to work out who sucks more, but maybe we don't need to know. Maybe it doesn't matter.
That every single day of my life. Every single day that I was with her. But to continuously use Colleen as like a weapon, it became awkward for me.
It was really hard.
I can believe that.
But the worst of the tantrums was actually the night before Rarity went missing. She saw me scrolling through my phone and there was women on my Instagram feed. She flipped out and said I was micro-cheating.
I got really fucking upset. Obviously, anyone, even mentally well people would have been pissed, would have been so fucking hurt. Probably marriages would have been divorced. Like, that type of deal, okay?
When Amber said this, probably marriages would have been divorced. This immediately, and I don't know if it's because I'm cynical or I've spent too much time on the internet or I've seen too much bad shit in this world, but when Amber said that, my brain went to CP, if you know what I'm talking about. You know, the worst possible thing you could imagine seeing on somebody's computer. The way that Amber worded that made it sound like that is what she meant. She then went, in this exact live stream, when people were like, is this what you're saying? She went, oh no, it was just fat people. It was just really fat women. Well, that's first of all fatphobic of her, in her own words. Amber's constantly crying that other people are fatphobic. Sounds to me like if the worst possible imaginable thing you could see in the world is a fat person on your partner's phone, then you're pretty fucking fatphobic, to be honest. But the way that Amber says this makes it sound like it's properly awful, which it's really not. And even if it is, even if it was absolutely awful, that still is not an excuse for you to be a raging fucking cunt to your partner. You know, you can be as angry as you want, but that doesn't make it okay for you to scream in somebody's face and punch walls and stand in the doorway and do any manner of questionable, aggressive stuff. You can be as angry as you could possibly be in this world and you are still responsible for your behaviour. You don't get to go, listen, you upset me, you pissed me off, therefore what I did was fine. No, what you do is your responsibility. Like I've said a billion times, Amber does not understand accountability. I'm sick of the sound of my own fucking voice. Let's listen to somebody whose voice is just slightly more annoying than mine.
So we get in a big fight, duh.
The argument escalated really fast. That was the first time she got physical with me. She threw things at me.
And she ends up throwing the can at my car. Made me mad.
You saying if I could hit someone, I would? Okay. I can throw this at someone's head.
That was a Freudian slip. Her saying this was absolutely a slip. So she's talking about how she wouldn't ever hit anyone, and would I hit someone? I wouldn't hit someone. I could throw this at your head. It's as if to say, I know that's not what she was trying to say. She was trying to say I wouldn't throw things, but the fact that she went to that in her mind in a discussion about physicality shows me that she absolutely would throw things. And once again, this is a corroborated story. Casey said it, Destiny said it, now Emily is saying it. So it's probably true. On the balance of probability, the likelihood that 3 people are lying is lower than the likelihood that 1 person is lying, depending on the circumstances, of course. Also, as we know, Amber is somewhat physically inhibited inside her frame, so throwing things would be a very good way to carry out your DV when you can't really move. However, also bear in mind that when Amber was in Wisconsin, she made this clip, which I'll put here.
See, I can run, folks.
So she is much more mobile than she wants us to think. And also in this live stream where she's trying to defend herself, she says, I'm a 500-pound woman. I'm not following you. I'm not chasing you. I can't get after you. Well, at that time in Wisconsin, with Emily holding the camera, she runs past the camera and goes, see, I can run, folks. So which is it? Are you a complete victim, immobile, 500+ pound woman who couldn't ever commit DV because you physically can't move?
She likes to say that you guys see me. I'm over 500 pounds. I walk very slow. Like, I'm a slow mover, okay?
See, I can run, folks.
Or are you super mobile? Which is it, hun? Sick of this shit.
Did Amber throw a glass at your mom? Yes.
Yes. Listen, I look at Casey, I watch him speak, and I believe what he says. And I don't know what to tell you, but I do.
Like, the fuck? I could take this and throw it? I'm just not a physically abusive person.
I told her I was going to leave the room. She then grabbed my arm and dug her nails into my arm to the point of drawing blood.
All I remember is she got mad and she grabbed my arm. Dug her nails into my arm.
I tried pushing past her to get through the doorway and she pushed back into me and actually falling on top of me.
That, I absolutely believe that. I do. I feel like every time I tell you guys that I believe something that Emily has claimed, I need to justify that we know she's awful as well. I don't know why I keep doing that, so I'm sorry if it's getting frustrating, but I think it's just so important that we understand that I'm not saying that she's cool and fine and lovely, but I'm saying I believe that this happened to her. She says Amber was blocking the door, Emily pushed to try and get past her, and Amber shoved her and she fell on the floor. I believe that. There's also this clip, which I will eventually cover, where Amber claims that she sat on the sofa and Emily kicks her off the sofa and she falls on the floor, and then Emily has to pull Amber back up again. Is it possible that that happened? Maybe. It may have happened. Amber is claiming DV against herself from Emily, and Emily is claiming DV from Amber against herself. And we just cannot tell who is telling the truth. We don't know what Emily is like. We don't have 12, 13 years of video evidence and 4 or 5 exes in tow to help us work it out.
I remember I tripped over her rug. I landed into her. She fell on the ground. And I'm like, as that's happening, I'm trying to get her, like, as she's falling, I go to grab her off the ground. It didn't work out very well. She still landed on the floor. And then she started like hysterically, how come you pushed me? I'm like, what is actually happening? So she like, I don't know. It was this whole fucking thing. And I was
Yeah, so that, if you watch her, she's telling this story and then she goes, so she like, I don't know, it was a whole fucking thing. So what does that mean? So your story randomly just stops and you don't add? You go, this happened, and then, oh, actually, I don't fucking know, it was a whole fucking thing. That's not the end of the story. That's you stopping telling us what happened. I found that strange. Also, once again, Amberlynn is fantastic at leaving out context. She doesn't tell us where this happened, why it happened, why was Amber moving in a way that meant that she tripped over the rug, which room was it in, which doorway was it, were you blocking the doorway when you fell? None of that. Amber is fantastic, and she's become fantastic over the years at leaving out context so that she can't be fact-checked, basically.
was like, this cannot be real right now.
I said, Jesus. She says, at that point, I was livid. I told her to go back to Oklahoma, and then I was absolutely done. And this is the night before Rarity, right? Whew, it just pissed her off more. She then grabbed a picture of me and Colleen and held it up and threatened to break it. She knew that it was something that would hurt me more than anything she could do physically to me. Like the lowest she could go, she let her apologise and then tried begging for me back. Saying that it was her BPD. There it is, At first she denied that she did any of those things, which that sucked too.
No, I never destroyed her ex's photo. This genuinely cannot, like, I have never been so gaslit.
And I'm like, am I just imagining the gouges out of my arm? She apologised profusely when she knew that she couldn't gaslight me into believing it didn't happen. At that point, I went to my 12-hour shift after that. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, then you went back to work, I said. Alright, here we go. After work, I didn't want to go back home. I was exhausted, drained, and didn't want to deal with her crap all over again. She had been blowing my phone up all day trying to apologise and see if I would change my mind about having her go back home. Okay. After work, I went for a walk to decompress. She was not happy about that and was blowing my phone up asking me to come home. It was about 2 hours after my shift that I got a text from her saying that she couldn't find Rarity. She said she hadn't seen her all day but was just telling me this now. At that point, I came home right away.
So that there, she hadn't seen her. Emily claims that Amber said she hadn't seen her all day but was just telling her now. But Amber told us that she claimed that she didn't see her all day, but then she shut the back door, went to bed, and then the next day, 24 hours later, is when she said that Rarity might be missing. So there's an additional day in Amber's story, which doesn't make any sense. Which makes me think again that this could be true. Emily's account could be true. Also, finally, somebody is showing some fucking receipts, which we'll get to in a second, so we'll see these messages, which corroborate Emily's timeline and make Amber's timeline, the first one obviously is a lie, and the second one also looks like a lie as well, which is very interesting.
I figured she was just somewhere in the house, and she was just saying that to try to get me to come home. But after I searched the entire house, while Amber watched, she wasn't anywhere to be found. At that point, I moved the search outside. I was exhausted, but searched all hours of the night looking for her. I really thought I would find her that night, but it was no luck. I know there's text messages coming up in a second, I'm waiting for that. At that point, I made posters and hung them up all around town to local businesses. I think Amber even said Emily's basically doing everything.
Tommy has made like online posters and put it on different websites and like went outside and we've been like yelling her name.
Posted on social media and lost cat pages. Amberlynn's one job was to call the shelter to make a report. But when I called the shelter after they found a cat that was deceased that kind of matched Rarity's description, it ended up not being her. The shelter told me no formal report was ever filed. The only info they had was the report from the Lost Pet database that I submitted. So at that point, I filed the formal report with the shelter with her description. But they could call if they had anybody turn her in. I'm sure when we saw the report, everybody was like, oh, Amber's got the age wrong of Rarity, and I'm sure there was something else wrong. I'll have to check. But
once again, Mr. Snowflake is absolutely right here, and this is another reason for us to believe Emily, because those posts, those posters that were made did have incorrect information about Rarity, calling her a Russian blue when she's not, having the wrong age as well. So again, it makes Emily's story seem true here, because if Amber had done the report, she would know the exact age of her cat, but Emily did it, so therefore it was wrong. Once again, Emily's story is seeming kind of credible.
I guess that would check out if Emily did it. Maybe she would get the details wrong because...
Yeah.
So anyway, I think
that tracks.
But I spent hours upon hours driving around looking for her, walking through fields and in between houses around my house through the snow. I think that's what everyone thought, yeah. Amberlynn would go in the drives with me, but obviously didn't do the walking around part. Again, I think everybody, said that. I would get so pissed when we were driving because she would have her head buried in her phone playing a stupid Farmville type game instead of looking out the damn window to find her cat.
I have this app on my phone. It's a game. It's called like Harbor Gossip or Gossip Harbor. I don't even know, but I'm like obsessed with it. I've been obsessed with this game, Dice Dreams.
I loved Rarity, and she was a sweet cat that would always sleep on my chest. I did everything I could to try to find her.
This comment again from Emily, that Rarity would always sleep on her chest, once again suggests that Amber's story, that there was a full day between the door being closed, Amber realising the door was open and closing it, to her then the following day realising Rarity was missing. That means they slept an entire night without Rarity on Emily's chest. So if that's true, wouldn't Emily say, where's Rarity? Every other night she sleeps right here with us and she's not here right now. Again, another reason from Emily's mouth to not believe Amber's second story, is what I think anyway.
I can't say 100% that she purposely let her out, but given the circumstances, the situation doesn't look good.
Also, I think anyway, that Amber's pets are an extension of her own narcissism. Anytime she talks about her pets, she always says, they're glued to my hip, they follow me round, I miss Rarity and she misses me so much. Oh, my cats love me so much. Even when she introduced Romeo, she was like, he loves me so much. So she uses her animals as an extension of her own fucking personality, as a way to make herself feel loved. So when the cats can benefit her, when Rarity could benefit Amber by disappearing, all of a sudden Amber doesn't seem to care that much, because what she wants is for Emily to love her, and Emily's love is more real and more physical than Rarity's love. There is a lot going on here that makes me think that Amber genuinely might have let Rarity out on purpose.
No, it does not. If it was a ploy to get her to be able to stay in Wisconsin longer, then I guess it definitely worked.
It was a lengthy stay that became lengthier.
Did you see that little smile? Fuck me. I've never seen that. Watch that again. Just the way she goes, it was a lengthy stay that became lengthier. Just watch her. She smiles. She goes, that was a lengthy stay that became lengthier, with a smile. Just watch this fuckery.
It was a lengthy stay that became lengthier.
Did you see that? That smile. It was a lengthy stay that got lengthier with a smile because Rarity went missing. Mate, she's a sick fuck. That's actually worrying.
Because we loved being around each other, which then became lengthier once Rarity went missing. I was not going to leave her here.
And see the text.
Okay, maybe I was wrong, because what she goes on to say is because we loved being around each other. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Perhaps I jumped the gun there. I do still think that smile was weird, though.
Messages coming up 2 seconds. Me again. I don't know if you're like Amber and keep old messages, but do you have any messages from Amber about Rarity going missing? It's the one after this one. Yeah, I do. I have the message of her initial reporting when she's missing, which is time-stamped. It shows that her story that she posted on her vlogs about being missing at 5 a.m. was not correct.
When it happened, it was 5 in the morning.
These are the texts between Amber and Emily. Amber says, "So am I leaving? Wait, I read that wrong. I also have moments where I snap at you. I haven't been able to find Rarity all day." What time is this at?
So look, I haven't been able to find Rarity all day on the 17th of November at 10:08 p.m. So the day that this all happened, in her initial story, Amber claimed it was the 17th of November in the morning, and she opened the door and she forgot to shut the door, and she came back, she looked at the door and she knew Rarity was missing immediately at 5 a.m. In the second story, she claims her and Emily had a fight overnight, and into the wee hours of the morning, Emily left for work out the back door. Amber didn't realise the door was open all day. And then in the evening, she saw the door was open, she closed it, she thought to herself, I'm sure we're all good, I'm sure everything's fine. She went to bed, then they had the entire following day, and then it was the end of that day, which would be the 18th of November, where she then went, where's Rarity? So these messages do not corroborate with either of her stories. It definitely doesn't corroborate with her first one, but it also doesn't corroborate with her second one either. This here, Amber saying, I haven't been able to find Rarity all day, in the evening of the 17th, does not line up with her second revised story. If that doesn't tell you she is lying again, then you are actually an imbecile. Sorry, I'm not saying you're an imbecile, because I'm sure you're watching my channel, so I doubt you're an Amberlynn Reid apologist. But this here is absolute proof that Amber is lying in her second story. Why lie again? She's lied again to make Emily look bad. She knew Emily was going to come out and accuse her of letting Rarity go. Therefore, to get ahead of that accusation, she came out with her story, claiming that it was Emily who let Rarity out. But it's not believable for multiple reasons, which I've already covered in this video, and it's not believable based off this screenshot because the timeline does not add up with the one that she gave us in the video she made before this came out, where she tried to get ahead of the accusations. So Amberlynn Reid, you fucking scumbag of a liar, what actually happened? She's never going to tell the truth. If you've got one grain of human decency in your body, tell us the fucking truth. We've all watched Rarity in your life for like 9 years. We care about that cat. Rarity deserves better. You're a sick fuck for letting this happen to her. But on top of all of that, tell the fucking truth for once in your life, you utter scumbag. I cannot stand this woman. She's such a fucking liar.
10:06. I need help finding her, please. I've been calling her name and looking everywhere all day. Emily says, I'm afraid to come home, to be honest. Amber says, I didn't go to the back porch. Amber says, I didn't go to the back porch.
Very strange. Very, very strange. What does that mean? I didn't go to the back porch. I've been calling her name and looking everywhere all day. I didn't go to the back porch. Is that her giving admission of guilt? Because in fact, the back porch is where it happened, where she let Rarity out. So therefore, she's sort of saying, I didn't go to the back porch, because it's like a sort of Freudian slip almost, where she betrays herself. But then also, again, extremely telling, Emily says, I'm afraid to come home, to be honest. And instead of replying with, you don't need to be scared, what are you on about? There's nothing to be scared of. Amber replies, validating Emily's fear, and says, don't be afraid. I'm not going to cause you any stress. You can come home and go into the bedroom and stay there until you wake up for work, which clearly shows that what Amber would normally do is not that. The fact that Amber needs to say, don't worry, don't be afraid to come home because I'm not going to do that thing that I normally do. And Amber herself, in her own fucking words, right here in front of our faces, shows us that this is what she would usually do. So she says to Emily, don't worry, I'm not going to cause you any stress, which is clearly what she usually does. You can come home and go into the bedroom and I won't wake you up. It's like, okay, so you're going to do that. You need to assure Emily that that's what you're going to do, which suggests that normally that's not what you do, which again lends credibility to Emily's story. This is not looking good for our girl Amberlynn Reid, not at all.
Amber made a whole demonstration video at the back porch explaining what had happened, but here she's telling Emily, I didn't go to the back porch. Don't be afraid, I'm not going to cause you any stress. You can come home and go into the bedroom. I'll stay in the living room till you wake up for work. 10:26 p.m. If you didn't hurt me on purpose, why would you regret it? Get real. I don't want you to touch me. Amber says, I regret anything I've done that has hurt you. I understand.
That there, if you didn't hurt me on purpose, why would you regret it? Get real. Interesting. So curious what was above this. Clearly Amber has said something about regretting something, but we've not seen that one. And this is the same day, November 17th at 10:28. So there's a 20-minute period here where we've not seen the conversation. Clearly Amber has said something about regretting something, and it suggests that it was a physical situation that Amber regrets. So that's very interesting. And then she says, I don't want you to touch me. And then Amber says, I understand. Instead of saying, I'm not going to put a hand on you, don't worry, what are you talking about? I've never hit you in my life, which is what you would say. She's gone, I understand. You understand that Emily doesn't want you to touch her. Why would you understand that? Is it because you understand that you have touched her in the past and hurt her? Interesting, don't know. And then, oh my fucking god, look at this. Oh my god, Princess is out. A few seconds later, she just went up the stairs into the bedroom. I was confused for a minute. So around 10:08, she said to Emily, Rarity is out. And that hasn't caused Emily to come home, clearly. And then we see here, Amber says, oh my god, Princess is out, which is the second cat. So it makes it so fucking obvious that what Amber is doing here is saying things to try and get Emily to come home. She's gone, Rarity is out. She thinks that's going to get Emily to come home. we don't know what happens because that screenshot's not been given to us yet, or hasn't been given to us, don't know where that is, those sort of 20 minutes of conversation, but clearly it hasn't worked because Emily's not home. So then she tries Princess. Then she goes, well, if you don't care that my cat is out, how about if your cat is out? And she goes, oh my god, Princess is out. And then she clearly thinks better of it and goes, she just went upstairs into the bedroom. I was confused for a minute. I don't think she was confused for a minute. I think she was trying to make Emily think that her cat was out in the hopes that that would make her come home, which once again makes it even more likely to me that Amber did let Rarity out on purpose, because clearly cats getting out is the kind of thing she will use to make Emily come home. Could it be she let Rarity out and she thought Rarity would come back and she didn't? I did not think that that was the case, but seeing this, and after this whole past weekend has happened, I now really do firmly think that actually there's a very good chance that Amber did let Rarity out on purpose.
Oh my god, Princess is out. Emily's cat. Princess is out. She just went up the stairs into the bedroom. I was so confused for a minute. Emily, can I ask you something? What? Can I have another chance? No.
So again, this shows when this was happening, when Amber was making these cat-based threats, Emily was saying to her, we're broken up. You can't have another chance. It's over. With everything we know about Amber, how badly she takes rejection, the kind of attachment style that she's got, the kind of clinginess that she demonstrates to us, that this is what was happening. Her mindset was, I'm being rejected. She doesn't want me. She's saying no. I can't have another chance. And it's in that context that she tells us Rarity's going missing, or she tells Emily that Rarity's going missing. This is unbelievably suspicious. Man, this looks really bad.
To pack my bags and leave? Yes. Check Snap, please. I've been abused before, and I was dumb to have stayed with her because look what it led to. And Amber says, I would never do that. I sent a whole video. It's taking forever to say.
Also, I'm obsessed with Emily's one-word answers. What? No. Yes. Amber keeps going on about how annoying it was to be stonewalled. I don't think Emily was stonewalling her. She just didn't want to talk to her. And that's the classic way to disarm a narcissist. Just ignore them. And they absolutely cannot stand it. And Amber's made that very clear throughout this weekend that she could not stand being ignored.
And anyway, there's the text messages.
Not good.
I'll make another video talking more about it, but I'll
Please do.
Keep reading. But yeah, very different to Amber's demonstration video.
And very different to the second version of events which she had told us all. Very different to both. How curious.
Funny that.
Yeah.
We get in a really fucking bad argument. She leaves through the glass door, leaves the door open. I did not notice because I did not go near the door.
But again, like I said, the likelihood that they're having a fight and Amber's decided, fine, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave that. I'll leave her for 1 second, even though there's proof, and I admit that I follow her around the house during fights. But on this occasion, when she's about to leave, I'm not near the door. Suddenly she's on her own. I doubt it highly. Either Amber stood there shouting at her, so Emily's run out the back door, meaning that Amber can see the back door and see that it's in fact open, or Amber's blocking the front door, so Emily's forced to go out the back door, at which point Amber is downstairs and would see the door was open or would feel the breeze. Either way, Amber's lying, clearly. I think, anyway.
I did not go near the door. I was sitting at the kitchen table waiting for her to come home. And that's when I noticed the cold breeze.
It's a lie. That is a narcissist whose story is falling apart. I do not believe you, Amber. I think you are a lying piece of shit.
Literally left the fucking door open. And she booked it so fast she didn't even close the door.
I don't believe that.
It was just a lot. In my brain I was thinking there's no way Brady got out. We're good. You know, it's like one of them things.
That's what she says. She says when she finally did realise the door was open later that day, like 12 hours later, she sees the doors open, she shuts it and thinks, Rarity's probably not out. But in the first story, she sees the front door, the back door, is open, and she immediately knows Rarity got out. So in both instances, they're completely opposing stories and completely opposing ways to respond to a back door being open when you have animals. I don't know what to tell you. It's not fucking true. None of this is true. I don't know what the truth is, but I think it must be bad, right? Because whatever Amber is covering when she told these two fake stories, she's covering something. We know she lies to protect people. I reckon she's fucking protecting herself because she let that cat out. Why else would you tell two different stories, one which makes you look bad to defend something? So that initial story, why did she need to lie in the first place? She didn't need to specify who let the cat out or what time of day it was. If it was an accident done by her or an accident done by Emily, you could still tell the truth. You don't have to say who opened the door, and you don't have to lie about the time of day. It's very, very, very weird that she lied about the time of day. And it's so clear, if you're lying about something, you're doing it for a reason. You're covering up something for a reason. So this second lie, this second story, why add this extra day? If you claim that Emily let the cat out, just say Emily left, the door was open, 15 minutes later I realised the door was open, I saw Rarity wasn't there. That's so much more believable. Why have you embellished the story so much to add an extra day, an entire extra day to the story, and a whole night of sleep where you didn't think about Rarity? It's so strange. It's like you've lied, then you've lied again. People don't lie for no reason. You're lying to cover something. What are you covering? This is really, really, really fucking suspicious. And all the shit between her and Emily, and Amber being a scumbag, and Emily potentially also being a violent scumbag, we don't know the truth on that. But what I do know is that this cat stuff is absolutely suspicious as fuck. And sorry that I'm getting dramatic, but animal stuff makes me angry. Oh my god. Man, I'm getting het up, and we've still got some time. This video is going to be long. Sorry guys, for those of you who don't like my long reactions, apologies, infinite apologies. Or I suppose you just don't have to watch it, do you? I don't know why I'm saying sorry, or what is this now, an hour and 35 minutes into this? I guess it's your choice if you watch it or not. Anyhow, let's carry on.
It was the next day when I was like, something really just does not seem right. I haven't seen Rarity all day.
So that line, I haven't seen Rarity all day, so that adds an additional day. If I was in Wisconsin, best believe I would be pulling some strings to get these animals away from this woman. I really would, and I'm not even going to lie about it.
Oh my god, I've been taking the blame this whole fucking time. I've been taking the blame this whole fucking time.
Right, me next. Well, that doesn't look good. She made a couple videos crying about Rarity. Were you off screen watching this, and what did you think? Because her acting is shite. I don't remember saying that. I mean, it's true. Her acting is shite. I've always thought that. I didn't.
Also, God bless you, Mr. Snowflake, because I know you have not been getting very much sleep in due to all of this, and you've delivered the, I don't like calling it tea, but you have delivered the tea of the century in Girl World, so I hope you've had a big sleep after making this video.
Bye, she was genuinely sad. Nobody did that, not just me. I was home for a few of them that she filmed. It was always after a fight between her and I. I think she wanted to take advantage of the tears and the crying and put it on camera.
She just wanted to venture out. I know she just wanted to see. No, like, I don't know where the fuck she is, and it's been just like literally. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that clip. I'm glad Flake included this clip because it's never felt genuine to me. That clip, it never has, and now we know why. Because she's a lying fucking piece of shit.
I even asked her, why would you film right now if you're this upset? Which she would get pissed, so I never mentioned anything about the vlogs. Yeah. She was obviously the expert and always knew what the right thing was to post. And I say, oh yeah, she's smashing YouTube.
Yeah, I do have to say, if you look at Amberlynn Reid's lives, she's posted 4 lives, 8 hours worth of content. When it comes to defending herself, best believe she can live stream. When it comes to fulfilling her contractual duties with her paying fucking members, the girl doesn't know how to hold a fucking live stream. But yeah, crazy. If you look at the views on those live streams, girl has made thousands off this situation.
Right, sorry, bastard. Emily says, a person can only watch so many videos about Legos, Choosy and the occasional bingo session before boredom sets in. She really doesn't do a whole lot of anything. And then I say, I always thought her Rarity videos seemed fake. Well, so did everyone, not just me, yeah. Usually when she knows she's in the wrong but doesn't want to admit it, she's over the top and extra dramatic about things, yes. And she was definitely over the top. And I say, what was she like in the following weeks or however long? What she said about Rarity? Did she talk about Rarity? Oh, may as well. Also, not to bombard you, but I'll ask while it's just popped in my head and I'm still awake. I just saw a clip earlier today of you and her at the Billie Eilish concert.
Interesting. Emily's eyes are down. She doesn't look Amber in the eye in that clip. Not sure if that shows anything. I won't go back and play it again, but Emily's eyes are sort of down. She doesn't look up at Amber. Interesting.
Whatever she's called, still don't know. You looked miserable.
She looks shifty.
We did talk about her because I was actively searching for her. She would say how much she missed her every once in a while, but she definitely handled it better than I would have ever if I lost my pet.
Oh, that makes me miss Rarity. I miss her so much. Sorry. Moment of silence.
This woman has never behaved how people usually behave when a cat animal goes missing. She's been acting funny from day dot, I think.
She would cry sometimes, but she didn't cry like she did on camera about her. Oh, okay, right. I definitely feel like this was a huge distraction from the big fight that happened. Oh, yeah. It seemed to blow over faster than it should have. I wanted to keep it civil while she was here,
I mean, this from Emily, we just don't know, do we? She says, I want the fight blew over quickly, I wanted to keep it civil. All of the stuff that's in this particular message here could be somebody who was equally as bad as Amber, but is trying to make Amber look bad. Could be that she's lying sometimes and not lying other times. It could be that Amber did cry every day and had breakdowns about Rarity, but now Emily's mad at Amber. She wants to make her look bad, so she's saying she never did. We just can't know. And that's part of the difficulty with this. It's, you know, we're reading messages that somebody's written on a screen. We can't see Emily's tone of voice. We can't see her body language. We can't look at her telling her story like we did with Casey, where you watch Casey speak and you just know he is telling the truth. We can't assess that with Emily.
We were looking for the cat. That's when she tried signing up for therapy in Wisconsin to show that she was going to get help for how she acts.
I need to do therapy for BPD. So, I found a dude. Why did I say it like that?
We would argue on and off though, but she was actively trying to minimise her tantrums. I bought those tickets for her well before this happened. They were really expensive, and because they were in a premium seat, I couldn't resell them. I knew how much it meant to her to see Billy, so I took her. I tend to forgive too easily. Me again. So how did you get her to leave eventually? Because she told us she left because she was a grown-up and had an apartment or some nonsense. It was something stupid like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, Amber tried really, really hard to make it seem like she chose to leave Emily. Anytime that Amber tries to convince you of something, it's probably not the case. So she tried so hard to make it seem like Emily didn't kick her out. And I think it was for this reason, because she didn't want to admit that actually she got told to leave. Amber, it is against everything in Amber's nature that we've seen to choose to leave her partner. That's like the number one rule of girl world. The girls never leave, right? If she can stay and suck up all that attention from Emily, she will. She would never have left of her own accord, in my opinion.
What's the real reason you went back to Oklahoma and didn't stay in Wisconsin? Because I have a whole ass apartment. I have a whole life here. I love my apartment. I love living alone in a responsible way. I belong here right now.
When she says things like that, like it's, I'm trying to convince you, it's not going to work, hun. We all knew you were lying. One thing I will say that's pleasing me about this situation, everywhere I've looked other than the comments from Amber's live, the comments, not the super chats because some of those are brilliant, but the free comments from Amber's followers, what are they called? Her fucking channel members. Everywhere other than that, people can see Amber's lying and they know she's lying, and that makes me feel like, oh, okay, cool. There are some rational people out there, but there are some individuals who are dead set on believing what Amber says. And yeah, I think we've fallen into various different camps in this situation. There are people that completely believe Emily. There are people that hate Emily and think she's evil and lying. And they also then think that Amber is, or they think Amber's not and Emily is. People are just really divided, but there aren't that many people who don't think that Amber is lying. And of course we know she is, because she's admitted it. But even her lying, even in the live stream where she admits to lying, she lies. So she's just a completely, entirely unrelatable narrator, and there's really no point her having a channel after this, because nothing that she says is ever going to have any kind of credibility or sway. She's shot herself in the foot beyond measure.
So that is why we're currently in a long distance relationship, but I do see us moving in together in the future.
Didn't make sense anyway. Also, again, while it's in my head and I'm awake, I bet driving her home wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. I think that's when Mop Legs was born, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The drive home. Bottom of her feet just mopping up the piss out of truck stop bathrooms. Oh, she's so gross, man. Oh. She couldn't keep up her normal behaviour for too long before her true self came out again, and we started arguing all the time. I finally got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore and told her she's going back home. I drove her back home to Oklahoma myself instead of waiting for her mom to come do it. I don't know why she was insistent on making it seem like it.
Also, just to quickly add, the mention here of Amber's mum is very interesting. If Amber claims, and Amber does claim after the fact, after this video came out, that her mum knew all about the alleged abuse between her and Emily, if that was my daughter, I would be in the car on the way to picking her up before you could, like, don't know, put your shoes on. Like, I would be on my way. So, and I know that my mum would be, and other people I've spoken to have said that their parents would be. As soon as you tell your parent you're in a physically situation, they are in their car on their way to get you, no matter how old you are, I think. For the most part, maybe. Unless some kind of situation has unfolded between the two of you and the parent is just sick of your shit. And I think Mama Lynn is probably sick of Amber's shit. I think there's a lot to be said about the relationship between Amber and her mum, but I think that is maybe for another video, because we don't have time. This video is already unbelievably long. Sorry, guys.
It was her decision. All right. Why Amber was acting to us like, oh, it's my decision. Right, okay.
I don't want to talk about this, but I was in Wisconsin and I chose to come home myself because I love living by myself. Like, genuinely.
Tommy didn't want me to leave. Tommy said I am welcome there forever.
That was quite funny.
Oh, it was 19 hours. I drove 19 hours straight through and flew home the next day. It took that long because of all the stops she had to take. Oh, God, yeah. That was the longest drive of my life, figuratively and literally. Within the first hour of the drive, she was screaming at me so much that Twinkie freaked out and jumped under my feet on the driver's side floor. I was driving on the highway and I had to pull over because she won't come out. I don't even remember what she was mad at me about. I think it was a comment over me getting to choose the music.
This is really sad because there are other stories of Amber's pets being scared of her when she's raging. Amber has a brand new tiny little kitten, like baby cat, very small. And Amber has been, I'm laughing, sorry, at the fact that I just said very small. And Amber has been on live stream for 8 hours over this weekend, raging and shouting and crying with her baby cat in the house and all her other animals. Twinkie and Wasabi are also there. We can see her raging and shouting and screaming around her pets. So clearly it's something she is comfortable doing, which once again makes this story seem credible.
On the radio, since I was driving that long and she wanted to choose to listen to.
Have you enjoyed the ride so far?
I do. I like it. Even the music and everything.
Even the music.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool.
We had a Billie
like it?
Eilish
Are you happy?
streak. Yes.
That's what
And I
matters.
appreciate you guys taking me.
That is so telling. Amber's mum looking off to the side, looking awkward and saying, "Are you happy, Amber?" Amber says yes, and Mama Lynn says that's what matters, as if to suggest that there's other stuff at play which doesn't matter. So Mama Lynn's not necessarily loving the music, but she's checking, Amber, are you happy? Are you okay? And Amber says yeah, and Mama Lynn says that's what matters. It's almost like Mama Lynn knows there are other things going on, like the fact that she's driving her daughter to live with a feeder. And she's saying to Amber, well, as long as you're happy. You know, if someone in your family dates somebody that you don't like or you think is wrong for them, you might say to yourself, well, as long as they're happy, that's what matters. That's what this is giving. But that, I feel, is irresponsible. There's also a live stream that happened this weekend again where Amber says that she went to a Chinese buffet. So Mama Lynn is taking her 500+ pound daughter to a Chinese buffet, which is also irresponsible. But this is quite telling from Mama Lynn here, I think.
What matters?
No. Yeah, this is her again. After she was back home, she tried ringing me back in, saying she was going to therapy and actively working on it, and maybe the distance would be good to help us eventually be able to be together again without the fighting. We had a lot of on again, off again stuff. I think we all knew that as well, yeah. Every time I tried to cut things off after things were getting bad again, she'd always have some sort of health scare to bait me back in.
This is interesting to me because it makes me side-eye Tommy's story, or Emily's story a little bit, because this message here makes it sound like Emily did nothing wrong. This message here is Emily saying, well, Amber said that she was going to have therapy to try and sort it out, and we would have on again, off again, and everything. Every time I tried to cut things off, she would have a health scare. Emily doesn't include here the fact that she would go onto Reddit and Instagram and talk shit about Amber during this. So Emily hasn't mentioned that, which would have lended more credibility to her if she'd have said, you know, I wasn't perfect, but this is what happened. She's not given any indication of her behaviour in this situation, which is interesting. She's not made herself look bad at all. It's only accusations levelled at Amber. And if we watch Beck's videos, Beck often said, well, I wasn't perfect, I did this, I did that. Emily's not said much of that. This has been a lot of pointing at Amber and saying everything Amber's done wrong, and granted, I agree, Amber is awful, but there's not very much accountability taken by Emily either, and I do think that's worth noting in this video. I would be remiss to not point that out.
Well, that doesn't sound like Amber at all, does it?
So they're doing everything they can. She was like, oh, it just means like you could possibly have a blood clot. That's why we checked your lungs. What? I'm itching so hard I am causing welts.
Oh, and then I say that she's done that on YouTube for years, gets found out or has some big drama, and then returns with, oh, hey guys, I have a new health issue. And also poor Twinkie man. Anytime I've seen that dog on camera, they look terrified. I know why now. Again, I'm probably remembering wrong, but I'm sure Amber said she was on FaceTime with you when she was in a store with her mum when you ended it. Probably remembering it.
I love Snowflake's use of ma'am instead of mum.
Wrong, sorry, probably am. How did you end it, and how did she take it? Both her pets would get scared during a tantrum. Wasabi would always run and hide in his little enclosed litter box when she would yell. I felt so bad for him. I feel bad for Twinkie too, being stuck inside 24/7. I had to say I have no idea about when or what time she's referring to about being in the grocery store.
Sorry, I'm pausing a bit late here, but Emily's saying here she feels bad for Twinkie being stuck inside 24/7. Again, that makes Amber look bad, but it's absolutely true. There's proof coming out of the wazoo. I don't use that phrase. I don't know why I said that then, but there is proof everywhere that Twinkie doesn't go outside, and it's so sad. Dogs love being outside. Whenever I take Molly out, I take her to the forest, take her for a walk, she gets so excited every single time. Like if I even say the word walkies or a word that sounds like walkies, Molly is like bouncing off the walls with excitement and happiness. Dogs don't like being stuck in the house, and it's evil and cruel to have a poor little dog that doesn't get to go for walks ever. All that dog sees is the inside of that apartment and Amber shouting into her phone during live streams, and she pisses on the floor and the food is not controlled, it's just all over the place. That dog, her nails as well, like she doesn't get walked because her nails are so long they curve round. She's not going to the groomer. It is so fucking evil. And we saw a video not that long ago, a vlog, I pointed it out, where Amber is standing, when Mummerlin's talking about having her hair cut, Amber is standing outside a dog groomer. So there is no fucking excuse. You can take your ass there, so you can go to bingo or to eat food, but you're not willing to take your dog to the groomer, which you're standing right outside. Nah, you can rot. Sorry, your animals deserve better.
Might be remembering it wrong. Probably am. I had to end it for a multitude of reasons. She obviously didn't take it well. There was a lot of threats made of trying to ruin my life if I said anything publicly of her online.
So you know what? I'm a fucking snowflake. But if you share a video, which I have never shared screenshots of, if you share a video of me during a BPD meltdown where I'm half naked due to your betrayal, that's when suing will entice.
So yeah, as I've said, it's not entice, it's ensue. But no, Wisconsin is a one-party state, so you can't sue somebody for filming you. You don't need their consent to film them. As I understand it, it's a one-party state. So yeah, that's not gonna fly.
Will happen. Absolutely.
It's a soft love. It's a soft love, it really is. She still tries to reach out to me. Sometimes she's civil, and sometimes she's absolutely unhinged. You don't say.
Well, they're back together now, it would seem. So I have sympathy for Emily in the sense that she's clearly been with somebody who is absolutely awful, but she has chosen to get back with that person over and over again in the face of all the abuse that she has claimed has happened. And she has a child, and she welcomed Amber into her house with her child, I think. I don't actually know if her child lives there 24/7, but either way, she is not coming off well in this situation either. You have a kid and you know what she's like, and you knew what she was like before you got with her as well. So you can't use all of this, well, I was love bombed, I'm in love with her, and it's hard to leave because I'm in love with her. Well, no, because you knew what she was like before you got together, because you found her on the internet where she is famous for being awful. So it's not really an excuse, and that does make Emily look bad.
Emily again. She did do a lot of threatening anytime she felt like she didn't have control of the situation. I'm still worried she's going to totally lose it once she finds out I talk to you.
I should be fucking showering right now. I should be fucking washing my hair. I should be just fine and dandy. I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack right here.
Well, she went live twice, just before bed and when she woke up. When I watched that Beck and Destiny collab, I was shocked at the similarities.
Yeah, I mean, this is difficult because she says she watched the Beck and Destiny collab and was shocked at the similarities. So this is her telling us that she's seen what the other exes have said before she spoke to Snowflake. So could it be that she's repeating things she's heard because she knows it will make Amber look bad? If Emily really is as evil as Amber claims she is, then she could be as evil as to watch the videos of the previous exes and then repeat the same stories to make her story seem credible. It could be the case, and here she is admitting that she watched those videos, or at least one of those videos. So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same MO, isn't it? Unless they're not giving all the details. I feel like she's gotten worse since then, not better.
Interesting, that's a very good point as well. I mean, Beck never alluded to any kind of physical element to it, unless Beck's just not sharing that part. So it's strange that it's happening now and it wasn't happening then, and that does suggest that she's got worse, which is weird, because if what Emily's saying is true, Amber's claimed she's had loads of therapy. So if anything, she should be better, but clearly she's not better.
Maybe she was just rough on me because I didn't put up with her crap, or fall for her manipulation. I do feel drained too, or have I missed the message? Sorry. Anyway, I think I said I felt drained just listening to it, so it must be worse for her.
Big mood.
Do you feel drained too? It's not a time I like to think about or remember. It's all a lot. I appreciate you respectfully listening to what I have to say, so I can share my side of the story and not let her control the narrative. Is that it? That's it.
I mean, it's interesting that Emily said there she doesn't want to let Amber control the narrative, because that's her showing that she wants her say in the narrative, which makes sense. But I don't know if that's the reason, I can't say, but I don't know if that's the reason a real victim would give. Would a real victim care about the narrative, or would they care about stopping other people being victims and getting their story out there? So you would want your story out there, and your story is a narrative, so maybe that is what that is. I don't know. I'm trying to analyse without very much to go on how credible Emily is, and it's difficult to do, it really is. So I am going to stop there. Flake just goes on to give a little bit more of his analysis, so you can go and watch his video and look at that if you want to. Obviously, this is an evolving situation. More things are going to probably come out, at least some I think probably will, and Emily and Amber will almost certainly break up again, so there's going to be that element to it, and I think things are going to be messy and back and forth, and Amber and Emily are going to get back together and break up and get back together. They've been doing it for months, so why would they suddenly stop? So I think when Emily does come out on those occasions where they break up and tell us more stuff, it's going to become even more messy and very, very difficult. We're kind of used to that in Girl World. We've seen it happen with Chantal. So it could be that we're in for the long haul now with this relationship and backing and forthing, and this is going to have a lasting impact on Amber because her content now holds absolutely no credibility, like none at all. I mean, there's nothing she can do to get away from what an absolute liar she is. With all that being said, I appreciate you guys watching so much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you as ever for your time and your support. I'm sorry that this video is so fucking long, but either way, I hope you enjoyed it as much as you can enjoy videos about awful people doing awful things. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.